Howdy y'all, Fast Force 289, welcome back. In this video, we'll be working on my 1977 Ford 4x4, and we're going to be putting a firewall reinforcement steering column bracket in. They didn't put them in these trucks in 77, only 76 and older, so I'm going to kind of retrofit it in here so it'll make the steering column more secure. All right, so if you have one of these trucks, you know that the steering column, it can do this. All right, so you see how it was moving up and down. That's because they didn't put the reinforcement bracket on these trucks. I don't know why they stopped doing it at 77, especially on 4x4s. On a two-wheel drive, it's not a big deal because the shaft comes down and connects to the gearbox directly, so it stabilizes it more. You don't really notice it on the two-wheel drives. But on the four-wheel drives, you do, because it's just a column sticking out of the firewall. Then you got two universal joints coming down to connect to the gearbox, so it has all that play and it wobbles. So I want to put this in just to help reinforce it and get rid of that wiggle that it has. It's kind of annoying. So I got a bracket for it, so we're going to put that in now. All right, so the bracket we're going to be installing is this right here. This is a original bracket for one of these trucks, 73 to 79. They were a little different from 72 and older, but this is it. And you do have to, if you have power steering, you can see right there, it's hard to see, but it says power steering. There is a difference between power steering and manual steering with these brackets on these trucks. Don't get me to line, I don't know exactly what the differences are, but there is a difference. They got them stamped differently. They have them stamped for manual steering or power steering. So this will bolt down here. I went ahead and saved all the trouble of watching me finagle this thing in here and mark the holes. All I did was just clamp the bracket to the steering column and get it in place where I wanted it, marked it so I can punch it and drill it. But we got 3 holes to drill. I already circled them, I already center punched them, and now we just gotta drill the holes out. All right, so I went ahead and drilled the 3 holes there for that. I did it off camera because really there's just no room to get up in here with the camera to show you it. So I kind of had to do it off camera, but it's easy. Just drilled a hole. I did a 3/8 hole, and now we put the bracket up in place and bolt it down. Alrighty guys, so I got the bracket installed and I got 2 of the 3 bolts in. The top one up here, I couldn't get, I needed an extra set of hands. I was able to get the other 2 down here. Now do note, these are not factory bolts. These are not factory washers. They're actually, funny enough, that's some old bolts I had laying around. I think it's actually a couple of fuel pump bolts for a 4302, I think. But, and those are shock washers, shock absorber washers. So it ain't original, but you know what? It doesn't matter. I kind of like it. It's like a, not a throw together, but like a farm truck touch. It goes perfect with this truck. So, and now the steering column is nice and solid and it looks good. And like I said, I'll get some help with that 3rd bolt, tighten it up, but them 2 bolts are plenty tight enough and it definitely makes a big difference. All right, so just to show you now how much more solid the steering column is, look at that. Whole lot more solid. The only movement I got now is in that bottom bushing down there, which funny enough, at the bottom of the steering column, I ordered one and it doesn't fit the shaft. So that'll have to be a future video for another time. But now everything's nice and tight. The shifter is solid. Before, when I would shift, you could see the steering column like literally just jump up and down when I was shifting between gears. So now it's nice and solid. It doesn't do that anymore, so that's good. And nice and solid. And there's that bushing at the bottom of the steering column I was talking about. All right, just to give you a quick look underneath the dash of how it turned out. You can see here's my new bolts. And see how this is shaped, comes up, and it's like a metal bracket coated in rubber. But got a bolt there that came through. And on the 76s and older, they were cut like up here, so it's easier to get to. Like I said, they have factory thread inserts. But there's that bolt. There's the bolt that I need help tightening. And then there's the other bolt there. I just put a washer and a nut on it, on each side. And this one here, I'm not gonna worry about a washer because it fits the hole perfect and it's so close to this, there's just no way to do it, so but it'll be all right. I got 2 washers at least, but them are all good, tight, nice and tight now and good to go, so that's all there is to it. All right, so we're underneath the dash of my 76 Ford truck, and I want to show you the differences of what I was talking about. You see you have that factory thread insert there for all 3 bolts. Got one there. And then also the plate is different on these as well. They stapled the gasket on the other side and the bolts in, whereas the other one is like a metal plate with a rubber coating and it goes up higher and it's shaped differently. Alrighty guys, well that's it. We're done with this. That's a complete install now of that bracket. I know I didn't show it all on camera, me drilling the holes and everything, and it's really, it just boils down to amount of space. I don't have space in here to get up in here with me and the drill and the camera and show everything, but it's literally, all you gotta do is put the bracket up there. And what I did is I bolted the bracket to the steering column, put it up there, marked it where I wanted it to be, and then took the bracket back off, punched it, and drilled the holes. Simple stuff, you know. And then you put the bracket up there, obviously, and then you just bolt the clamp on that steering column back up to pull it up tight, and then that's all there is to it. As simple as that. Anybody can do it. And see, on these trucks, there's no thread inserts. 77, they stopped putting these in. Like I said, I don't know why they stopped, especially on 4x4s. I can kind of understand on two-wheel drives because you don't really need it. With the steering shaft there, like I've stated before, with the steering gearbox, I mean, it keeps everything solid. But with these four-wheel drives, you got a floating steering column and a floating steering shaft going down to the gearboxes. It doesn't really make sense not to have some kind of reinforcement bracket, but whatever. I guess that was their way of trying to save money, because by the late 70s, Ford was trying to cut corners on things and save money. So you got to drill the hole yourself. You got to either tack weld a nut on the inside, which I'm not doing because I got my carpet and everything in there. That's just a disaster waiting to happen if you do that. So you got to put a nut on side, hold it from the inside, and tighten it from the outside, which can be a pain. But luckily, you never, once they're installed, you never have to take them out again, really. Only if you're going to remove the steering column, which is what? Hardly ever, right? So I'm going to get a third person help me with that bolt. It would be easier if you had two people, just, you know, to hold the wrench up there for all three bolts. So that's the way I did it, and it does make a big difference already. It was so irritating having that steering column just wiggle up and down. It was just irritating the hell out of me, honestly. So that's one thing I've been wanting to do to this truck since I bought it. I'm glad to have it done now. And that'll make, it might actually make the steering a little bit more tighter now because it's not sitting there flopping around when I go to turn. So we'll see. And yeah, but that's all there is for this video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. If you got any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them in the drop box down below. And as always, I'll get back to you. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. I'd appreciate it. That's all there is for this one. So until next time, I'll see y'all later. Take care.